everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. I am happy to report you guys that my foot that I thought may have possibly broke during the last pod is doing much better, you guys. The swelling has finally gone down. I'm able to almost put full pressure on it, and I am certain that nothing is broken. Well, I'm still about 98% certain that nothing is broken. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, during the last pod, I got up to take a quick bathroom break, and when I did, I found that my foot was just dead asleep, you guys. I mean, dead asleep. But I still tried to put some weight on it, thinking that, I could just logically know that it was asleep and that that would be enough. But that's not what happened, you guys. My theory was completely wrong and I completely collapsed on the floor. And the funny part, you guys, I mean, not the haha funny, but I mean, kind of haha funny now that everything's okay, is that I was recording when it happened. So, I mean, you fully hear me eat shit and then I cry and whimper and moan about it. Anyway, I'm telling you guys, it was bad. You should have seen me hobbling around at work the next day. It kept me up that night. I mean, I woke up like 3 or 4 times because it was just so bad. The swelling was just wild. But it is finally getting better, you guys. And thank God it is, because I need to be in tip-top shape because I have the Dancing with the Stars finale coming up this Tuesday, you guys. And I can't even tell you how excited I am. And I mean, I am so excited because I love the show, number one. But secondly, I am so excited because I am bringing one of my oldest friends, and this will choke me up. I'm just so emotional, you guys. Going into this Thanksgiving season, I'm telling you, I get even more emotional than normal, which is dangerous for everyone, trust me. But anyway, I'm bringing my girlfriend Lisa, and she lost her mom, who was just the most wonderful woman and always dreamed of being a dancer. And they loved the show. They loved watching the show together. And we lost her mom a few years ago. Her mom was just the most wonderful woman and who meant so much to me too. So anyway, I'm bringing Lisa to the Dancing with the Stars finale, and she is so excited and I am so excited, and it is going to be a great night, but I need to be in full dancing form, right? I mean, what if they need somebody to step in? Thank you very much. And then it's Thanksgiving, you guys, and my girls are all going to be here. I mean, granted, they're coming the day after Thanksgiving, but that's okay. I don't care. I'll take it however I can. Honestly, I'm just so happy that we all get to be together, and we're going to decorate for Christmas. We're going to put the tree up. We're going to do another family bonus pod, but this time with all 3 of the girls, and I'm so excited about that. I'm just so excited to have them home, you guys, that I could cry. But I am trying to spare you guys from that, so let's change the subject. But actually, before we do change the subject, I just want to say that I really hope that you guys all have the most beautiful Thanksgiving. And I just also want to say this, that even if you find yourself this Thanksgiving in a situation that is not ideal, even if the last year or the last few years has been brutal, even if you're looking around the room and wondering how you got there, I promise you this. If you root yourself in love and you ground yourself in enough gratitude, I promise you that your Thanksgiving will be beautiful. I promise you. Okay, now, so shifting focus, I watched BravoCon, you guys. And I really loved the whole concept of that opening number, but holy hell, what happened to Andy? I mean, honestly, his voice was flatter than my boobs after nursing 3 kids. And I think at this point, I've watched most of it now, which is good because I didn't watch a second of it when I was in Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, you guys, I just heard Teresa talking about that night that I told you about on her podcast. She was talking about the fact that her, Louie, and Gia went and surprised her brother at his comedy show, just like I told you, that comedy show that I was at. And I actually just posted pics, you guys, on my community tab. So be sure you go check them out. Pics of that night. And you guys, that is not the only thing she said. So she was talking to her producer about their reunion and this whole mending of fences. And it's funny, but not funny in a ha-ha funny. It's funny in a, oh, holy shit, here goes Teresa again kind of funny. Because in one breath, she's sitting there telling her producer that she's kept this whole thing really hush-hush and she hasn't told many people about it. But then she's on her podcast and he's asking her questions and she's spilling it all for the entire world to hear and judge. And trust me, I am judging already because Teresa is talking. And from the shit she's saying, it honestly doesn't sound like much has changed. And we all know that for any lasting change to happen, you need to have a shift. There needs to be a shift in her mindset, a shift in her attitude, a shift in her spirit. In order for lasting change to happen, something would need to shift. But you guys, it doesn't seem like it is, because on her podcast, when her producer asked her to talk about it, she says, yeah, well, I'm happy. But yeah, like there's other things, like even the kids, they don't completely understand. Well, I mean, some of the kids don't completely get it. Some of the kids are like, yeah, you're going too fast, and that's sad. And, that's why this kind of thing should never happen. And, God willing, this is never going to happen again. And we're going to keep going on this same path. And then you guys, then it all goes to hell. And then Teresa sets the stage and the scene. I mean, listen to this in her own words, because this is verbatim. Teresa said, and I very much quote, she says, yeah, but, God willing, this is going to keep going the way it is. And we're never going to go down that same path. But then, she says, but we both will, listen, I'm not saying that anybody's going to sway me. And I'm not saying that anyone's going to sway my brother or Melissa, but I'm just saying that say we do go back on the show. I mean, if we go back on the show, we have to be a united front, like very strong together because, well, I mean, you just don't, I mean, maybe, somebody could be on the outside trying to cause problems and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. And she says, and my brother assured me that that's not going to happen. And so I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. And that's all I want, I mean, if it was up to me, this all would have never happened. But, I mean, it is what it is. And the producer says, well, I think that this is going to actually make your relationship stronger in the end. And Teresa says, well, we wanted to do this for our kids, but, we also wanted to do this for us. And she says, everyone at BravoCon saw us and thought that this just happened. She says, no, but, this has been happening for a while. And she says, here's the thing, it's not like everything is fixed and everything's just all hunky dory. She says, we're in a good place. And, I mean, baby steps. And here we go. Ding, ding, ding. And we both need to prove to each other that this isn't going to happen again. And, I'm sure we're going to be tested again. And so when that happens, hopefully we'll both pass the test. She says, and yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, because I know I want to pass the test with flying colors. I mean, yeah, like, hello. That really happened on Teresa's podcast, Turning the Tables, the one that I listen to, so you don't have to. So what does this all mean, you guys? I mean, honestly, it just proves that she is willing and prepared and wanting to move forward as long as Joe proves his loyalty and passes her test. Because that Teresa will be the one curating that test. But according to her, she is still just all about the love, love, love. But the truth is, she still doesn't get it. And honestly, that's a bummer for Teresa. But do you know what is not a bummer for Teresa, you guys? The fact that Gia Giudice won Special Forces. She won it right alongside of Shawn Johnson East, and both of them kicked complete ass. And I mean, hats off to Gia, hats off to Shawn. I mean, way to play, girls. I mean, that was so impressive. Both of them were so impressive. I love that show. Oh my God, that last episode, they went in with 5 people still in the running to, make the cut. And then it just came down to the 2 of them at the very end. So they started the last episode with Andrew, with Gia, with Shawn, with Cody Brown, and with Brianna Chicken Fry. And Andrew was the first to leave because he didn't answer a string of questions, interrogation questions the right way. And then Cody Brown was the next one to leave because that son of a bitch is just so obstinate and so unable to bend in any capacity. I sat there watching it thinking, you are just such a stubborn asshole. I mean, honestly. And that stubborn streak that runs through that guy is just really so to his detriment and to the detriment of everyone around him. He doesn't care who gets taken down. If he doesn't want to do something, he doesn't want to do it. He didn't want to help those girls on the show and he wasn't going to do it. Even if that meant getting kicked off, even if that meant that the show was over for him. And just honestly, this might be crossing a line, but truthfully, it made me think of his son that committed suicide. And I think part of what led to that was his relationship with Cody and Cody's inability to bend. And I just thought that this guy just really keeps sabotaging his own happiness and his own life just because of his own inability to get past himself. He's a head case, that dude, I'm telling you. And then right at the last minute, just before the final challenge, Brianna Chicken Fry caved, and she said that, you know, she was with the military. Which is what you weren't supposed to say. She said, no, I'm here with the military. And so that was it for her. And that left Gia and Sean to finish the final task. And when they did, that was it. And my God, hats off to them. I'm telling you, so impressive. Those girls kicked everybody's ass and did it with grace. And truthfully, it was so freaking impressive. And then you guys, in news that is not so amazing, we have the split between Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker. They are officially getting divorced. And I have to say, it really kind of bums me out. And also, knowing this now, it kind of gives context to when Kandi was on the stage receiving that Lifetime Achievement Award, and she sat there and she was thanking Todd, and she was really emotional and really just got into her feelings. And I'm sure, I mean, imagine that must have been rough, because she met Todd on Real Housewives of Atlanta when they were on that amazing Africa trip. He was just a grip. He was just working as a grip. And they fell in love, and they were together. They had these 2 kids. I mean, she met him and fell in love on Bravo. But if after 11 years and 2 kids, you can still leave with a lot of respect, then I call that a win. I also call this a win for Jen Shah. How about the fact that she gets to come home for Christmas, you guys? So she's already served 2.5 years, and she's out early, and she is going to be home for the holiday, which I love that song. So things are looking up for her, but things are not looking up for Mia Thornton, you guys. Arrested for stealing furniture from the rental that she had just been evicted out of, you guys. Sued for eviction, and then I think she was trying to take the furniture to try and recoup some money, and she got busted for that, and things are not looking good for that girl at all. And they're also not looking good for Megan King, who has officially lost custody of all 3 of her kids to Jim Edmonds. And honestly, I don't know what is going on there, but I really hope that they handle this with as much grace and ease as possible, because those poor kids those poor kids have already been through enough. And we did get some news about New York, you guys. We still don't know exactly who's going to be on the cast, but we do now know someone who's not going to be on the cast. Little Miss Jenna Lyons will not be back for her 3rd season of RHONJ. She is checking out after her sophomore season, which doesn't bother me at all, honestly. She really didn't bring much to that show for me, other than her fashion and her apartment, and mostly her closet. I will say her apartment and her closet were more of an interesting character to me than she was. I would have rather watched that apartment. If you would have toured that apartment and that closet, I would have found it more entertaining, actually, than anything I got from her as a character. And then there's the Osefos, you guys, and they are screwballed. I mean, honestly, they are just screwed. The feds just keep finding more and more evidence. I mean, all of these different aliases, all of these different credit card applications. I mean, I don't know how in God's name they are going to try and explain all of this away. But honestly, I almost feel sorry for them, just because I just cannot imagine how crushing the pressure must have been if if all of this stuff about all the aliases and all the applications, what are they really trying to do? What was this? I mean, at this point, I'm really thinking that Wendy's mother should have been focusing less on raising an educated person and more on just raising a good person. And then, you guys, it's ba-ba-doo. Southern Charm is back, baby. And to be honest, I completely forgot that it was starting. I was watching something, and then it just rolled over into Southern Charm. And at first I thought it was a preview, and I'm like, this isn't a preview. This is the actual episode. So I watched it, and the cliff notes of the first episode are basically just that it is Madison's baby shower. Miss Pat is throwing a beautiful garden baby shower for her new little baby girl, who's being called Teddy after her deceased dad, which I thought was so sweet. And it's clear that this new season is going to very much be about Craig's re-entry into single life. That's very much a theme. The whole breakup with Paige. He addresses that a little bit. But then we also find out that there's this simmering tension between him and Venita because when the breakup happened, I guess Venita sided with Paige, and I guess she made a comment about Craig that Craig didn't like. So then Craig fired back and said something that she really took offense to. So neither one of them really have any desire to talk to each other at this point. Austin is still with his girl. And then there's Sally, who is kind of eyeing Craig, which is pissing off her best friend Venita because of that tension between her and Craig. So that's clearly going to be a point of contention going forward. And then there's Molly, who we met last year, who I loved, who is a complete mess, but also so completely lovable. I mean, I love her. JT's gone. We no longer have to deal with his weirdness. He's on an island somewhere. But anyway, I'm excited. I love that show. I have loved Southern Charm from the start. Okay, you guys, it's time for reality check, and we are moving on over to Salt Lake City. So the show starts out with a surprise potluck at Whitney's house as a show of support for Britney after all that she went through on that plane on the way back from their yacht trip. When she was being bullied by Meredith and Lisa on the ride home for however many hours that was, 4 hours or something. The one where she told Meredith that her husband was having an affair because she saw it on TikTok. And now, you guys, I get it. And don't get me wrong. I know that what happened on that plane was absolutely wrong. So wrong, so wrong. Don't get me wrong. They were completely wrong for bullying her. But also, I mean, a little bit, it's called a grip. Get one, right? Because Britney said that numerous times the flight attendants kept coming over to her and asking her if she needed help. Asked her if they could get her anything. And my question is, why didn't she say yes? Why didn't she ask to be moved? Why didn't she just say yes? Can you kindly tell the bitch behind me to stop harassing me? I mean, getting bullied is wrong, but also so is sitting in your own shit. And honestly, that's what it felt like Britney did. She just sat in it and just decided to stay there. I mean, honestly, I just don't get that part. I mean, this girl, she needs serious help. I mean, I just feel like Salt Lake City is built on such bullshit because of the constructs of that church that it just breeds women with no self-worth. I mean, Britney gets treated like shit in her relationship and she stays. She gets treated like shit in her friendships and she stays. I mean, honestly, the poor thing's a mess. Angie says that she doesn't have a great history with Britney, but after seeing what happened to her on the plane, she actually felt sorry for her, which honestly, sorry, I feel like is probably exactly why Britney didn't ask to be moved, because she wanted people to feel sorry for her. Otherwise, why the hell wouldn't you stand up for yourself? If you're sitting there being so abused, why wouldn't you ask to move? Why wouldn't you ask one of those other friends to switch seats with you? It's not difficult. Then Britney arrives to this surprise party where she finds all the ladies sporting high body count hair. And then Britney does what she loves to do. She does the old ding, ding, ding. I have an announcement. She says, after wishing and wishing and wishing that something would finally be about me, this day is about me. And she's got tears running down her face. Bronwin then takes her over and shows her the mobile stuffed animal machine that she had brought to the party. And she apologizes for throwing her uni overboard. And this stuffed animal machine is the shit, you guys, because it doesn't just stuff the animals, it stuffs the animals and also inserts one of those voice box machines like the one that she got from Jared. So the plan is that all the girls are going to make a stuffed animal for Britney and they're all going to do a specialized recording for her. Mary tells Britney to walk away so she doesn't hear what everyone's saying. So she goes to the bathroom so she can give herself some high body count hair. And when she comes back, the girls all give her the animals and they play the messages that they recorded for her. Whitney says, Britney, you are so strong and courageous. I love you so much. Mwah. Angie made her a bunny that said, you have beautiful hair and I love you, but in Greek. Heather said, love you, so glad we're friends. And Bronwyn said, you're a star, Britney. And then it was time to play Mary's, you guys. And she hits the button and complete silence. There was no message, you guys. Zero message, because Mary doesn't front. Mary didn't record one because she's still not feeling all warm and fuzzy about Britney. She's just not. But she is showing up because, according to Mary, she thinks that what Meredith and Lisa did on that plane was diabolical. Britney says, I love y'all. I really do. And Mary gives her the eyes. Then Whitney says, I see a core of women here that I can respect and trust and move forward with because I feel safe here. She says Meredith, on the other hand, crossed a line that I don't know if I can come back from. And Bronwin says, well, Meredith reached out to me and said that she doesn't know what you guys are all talking about. And I just thought, isn't it hilarious that Meredith reached out to Bronwin, the only person that wasn't on that plane, the only person that didn't see it go down for herself? It only makes sense that Meredith is going to try and target Bronwin and try and get in her ear to convince her that the rest of them are crazy because she didn't see it for herself. And then Bronwin says, well, she also said that she never spoke directly to you, Britney, and that all she was really doing was having a calm conversation with Lisa about Britney, yes. And she did say that she wasn't saying nice things, but she said that Britney was wearing headphones and honestly shouldn't have been eavesdropping and listening in on her conversation. Then Whitney says, oh my God, I thought she was crazy just because of all the screaming, but this delusion takes it to another level. Whitney says, I'm really trying to reconcile my feelings about them, but I mean, honestly, where do we go from here? Angie says, it's awkward. Then Heather says, I think Lisa is completely fucking crazy because she said to me that she's not responsible for anything. And Whitney says, when did you talk to Lisa? And Heather says, just yesterday. She was sitting at the table across from me, fully trying to rewrite history. She says, and what I think she's trying to do is get me to subscribe to her version of events. And honestly, I think they're both very wrong. And even though we have a history and, we have a shared past, I just can't look over what I actually saw happen with my own eyes. And excuse me, she can't overlook what she actually saw happening with her own eyes. That just begs another question. If all of these snowflakes actually saw it happening, then why didn't someone stop it? Can someone tell me that? Why did they all just close their eyes and go back to sleep? I mean, they've all said that every time they woke up, they saw this happening. Well, then why didn't they do something? Why did they keep going back to sleep? I mean, that's the answer I want. When you woke up and saw it, then why didn't you stand up and stop it? Why? If it was that bad, why? Honestly, so many questions, so few answers. Heather says, it might just take all of us saying, you guys, listen, that's not how it happened. We all need to say that together, united. Britney says, listen, if they can't take some kind of accountability, then there's just no moving forward with them. And when she said that, all I could think was, I don't think either one of them would give a shit about not moving forward with her. Then Whitney changes the vibe way up when she says, Bronwin, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but I'm noticing something. You're not wearing your wedding ring. And Heather says, intentionally? And Bronwin says, yeah. And she says, and Whitney knows that Todd left the house for a few days right after we got back from Barbados. And the girls ask why, and she tells them about that incident that happened on the plane when he was on his way to New York and someone was sitting behind him and saw him looking at a bunch of different pictures of a bunch of different women in a bunch of lingerie, and none of the women were Bronwin. Bronwin said that what made it worse was the fact that he got super defensive about it and just tried to blame other people. But she said that at this point, she was just completely exhausted and she told him that he had to leave. Bye-bye, Todd. She said what embarrasses her most is the humiliation and the secrecy around it. She says that things need to change. She says that doesn't mean that her marriage needs to end. It just means that it needs to be, reconfigured, recalibrated, redesigned, something's got to give. And then we're with Mary and Robert Jr. as they inspect the new renovations at the church. They pop a squat in the pew when Mary asks him about his spiritual journey. Robert brings up the fact that when he was away in rehab, he heard a lot of people struggling with the concept of a higher power. But he tells Mary that because of her, he never had that problem, that he's always, been in touch with his higher power. And Mary tells him, good, that's really important because if you're not in touch with your higher power, then you're going to do nothing but keep circling the drain. Mary says that she is hopeful that getting the church back open will not just help Robert Jr., but help other people who are in his position. Mary says, and I know that is true because with God, anything is possible. And I would just like to say to that, a fucking men. Then we're with the former Salt Lake City super couple, John and Lisa Barlow. And I do mean former because these two are on thin ice, you guys. And honestly, I have to say, I don't think their relationship has ever been more interesting. And I think it's because for the first time, like probably ever, we're actually seeing John Barlow stand up and begin to use his voice, which is throwing Lisa Barlow into complete chaos. So they sit down and she tries to start some polite conversation about what it's going to be like to have their boys back under the same roof. John says, oh, when I came back from my mission, I really thought I was going to be like the best big brother, but I just went right back to being. And she goes, a douchebag? She goes, I was so annoyed with you in the car the other day. And he says, which time? And she says, well, when I was like trying to tell Henry my thoughts. And John says, well, were you trying to tell Henry your thoughts? Or were you trying to tell Henry what to think? And she says, no, John, I was trying to tell him my thoughts. And then you said no, and you said that I should say it like this. And that really bugged me. I mean, that bugged me so bad. And then to camera, Lisa says, so yeah, things aren't any better with John. And I'm telling you, Lisa's expression was like, I had never, ever seen this expression on Lisa Barlow's face, ever. Lisa says, this is way more than just one thing. Lately in our relationship, I've been feeling invisible. And I just sat there thinking, yeah, I'm sure that's how John Barlow has been feeling since the day he married you. Lisa says, listen, John, I haven't been feeling validated by you. And honestly, I feel like I'm a great listener. And John goes, what? Excuse me, what? You're a great listener? And she says, yes, I'm a great listener. Are you kidding me? Lisa says, I feel like we're not on the same page anymore, and that bugs me. And John says, well, I feel like you always want me on your page. And that's just like the nuts and bolts of it. If we're not on the same page, it's just because I'm not on your page. At least that's the way it feels. He says, you're always talking about your feelings, Lisa, and I'm just telling you mine. Then he says, also, I think that when we do talk, it's just always about business. And Lisa says, do you really feel like that? For real? And John says, yeah, I do. How can you not? Then Lisa in confessional gets asked, what does it feel like to you when you hear him say stuff like that? And then Lisa in her big brown cowboy hat is really trying to hold it together. I mean, there's the deep breathing and the tears. And she says, really hurts my feelings. And then back in scene, Lisa says, I feel like we're just not really seeing each other right now. And she says, you don't hug me as much as you used to. And John says, yeah, I think we're really having a communication breakdown. Then we're at an outdoor park for a meetup between Britney and Salt Lake City Nepo baby Jared Osman. They say hello and then they engage in the most nauseatingly melodramatic embrace you have ever seen. Did you guys see that? Britney says, this is nice. I really needed this. And I'm gagging. Then to camera, she says, Jared and I are still on a break. And I'm still reeling from what happened on that plane. And I think it's really thoughtful that he reached out to me. I mean, she honestly at this point thinks that he's there to lend some support. But then suddenly he flips the script and says, so I went over to Whitney and Justin's, and Justin told me that you were flirting with every good-looking guy on the crew. And she says, well, I thought we were on a break, so I don't even know why you care. And Jared says, I thought we were trying to work things out, but I guess not. And Britney says, and I don't even understand this. The fact that you're talking about this instead of the fact that I just went through one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And he says, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you went through that. And she says, you don't care. And he says, I do care. Yeah, I do. I do care. He goes, here's the thing. The last 2 years, and she goes, the last 2 years, you haven't been able to commit to me. And he says, well, that's because you run every 5 minutes. And he goes, I'm looking for someone who's stable. And Britney says, Jared, what are we doing? I've told you what I want. And he says, oh, you mean you want an answer right now? I thought we were on a 30-day fast. I thought you were fasting from me. How's that going for you? And she grabs her sweater and she walks away crying and screaming, I'm so tired of this. And then he runs after her and he wraps his arms around her and he says, what's wrong? And she says, I just want to feel safe. And he says, well, I just think that's unfair. That's all I'm saying. And she says, Jared, what would you like to do? And he goes, well, I'd like to figure this out. And then she presses him, do you want to be my boyfriend or don't you? Do you want to be my boyfriend? And he says, oh, come on. You are confusing. You are very confusing. You really are. She says, really? Really? Well, it seems like your silence is the answer. And she turns and she walks away. And then Jared strolls after her with the most smug look planted on his face. And he says, you want me to be your boyfriend? Try being stable for more than 5 minutes. Then we're at Bronwyn's fun house, because it does look like a fun house. What in God's name is that house? I could not live in that. And she clearly does not feel comfortable. I mean, I don't know if it's the house, if it's Todd or what, but did you see the way she does that meek mouse entrance? Todd, are you home? And this is Bronwyn now coming face to face with Todd for the first time since he's come back after spending those few nights away. And honestly, Bronwyn's furniture looks so uncomfortable. It's almost as uncomfortable as their relationship itself. She says to Todd, so what's going on? And he says, oh, just moving and grooving. And she says, well, obviously I was really upset about what happened last week. And he says, so was I. And she says, so I just have to tell you that I'm very uncomfortable about what was said on Twitter. And she says, the bottom line, Todd, when this happens is that I don't end up feeling good enough. And honestly, that is the last thing Bronwyn needs, because let's face it, she's already spent a lifetime with a mother who very much made her feel that way. She goes on to say that his infidelity has been an issue in the past, so that now when stuff like this happens, it makes her spiral and think that she's not pretty enough, she's not sexy enough, she's not smart enough, she's just not enough, whatever that enough is. Bronwyn says, it just makes me feel like I'm not good enough to keep him from wanting something different. Then she looks at him and she says, listen, I'm as in this with you as I can be. I'm open to whatever would make you happy that is possible for me to do, I will do. If you want to do something different or have an arrangement or be open, I would consider it. I would consider whatever I needed to do to continue to evolve with you. Todd says, listen, we've been together for 11 years through all sorts of shit, and we've always been able to talk through it. This one time we didn't. I'm always able to admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. And I'm very happy with you in this relationship and in the state that we have it. And Bronwyn says, I'm just trying to let you know that there's no weirdness around trying to figure out what works for your sex life. And Todd says, well, I guess that's understandable. I understand. Then she tells him that she talked to Whitney about their sex life. And he says, really? You're going to share the most intimate parts of our life with people who are completely untrustworthy? And I would just like to say, for someone who cares so deeply about the way Bronwyn reflects on his professional life, Todd is not doing himself any favors. And then, amen, hallelujah, it is time for the reopening of Mary's church. Mary arrives alone, and once she finally makes it in, we find her cousin, who inquires about Robert Jr. Mary says that he got into the car to come today, but she took one look at him and saw that he was high, so she said, you are not coming, and he went back in the house. Mary says that she's devastated that he can't be here, but she's going to keep doubling down on faith and trust that when it's his time to show up, that he'll be ready. And I just have to say, amen to that. I mean, she's absolutely right. And let me just remind you, just in case you're new here, that I hated drugs and the people that did them my whole life. I mean, nobody was a judgier bitch than I was. And then one day in my 30s, I became an accidental opiate addict. I mean, there was a time, you guys, when I needed an OxyContin and a Percocet chaser just to get out of bed. And that addiction took me on a personal journey that forced me to face myself, to face my demons, to make peace with my past, and finally heal the wounds that kept showing up and sabotaging my life. And once I forgave myself and I stripped away all the shame, I started falling in love with myself and with my life, with all of my life, with even the past. I mean, I fell in love with the entire process of life. And once I did, I no longer needed a pill to put a pin in that pain, because there was no more pain. The pain itself was gone. And by the grace of God, that pain turned into gratitude. That was over 13 years ago, and every single day I am blown away by it still. I always dreamed about self-love, about finding self-love, about this self-love that everyone talked about, but I never in a million years dreamed that my vehicle to that self-love would end up being an opiate addiction. But the truth is, we don't always get to choose how we get from here to there. And real faith is trusting that your path has its own very unique purpose. So pay attention. Anyway, Mary is about to put her Pentecostal crown back on and deliver a sermon for the ages. And the first one she's delivered in ages. Heather and Whitney are on their way together. They're wondering what it's going to be like, wondering if Mary's going to speak, wondering if Meredith and Lisa are going to actually show up, wondering what a Pentecostal service actually looks like. And if you don't know, I will tell you. And it's a good thing someone told Heather, because no one told me when I was 9 and I went with my best friend to her Pentecostal church. I went to her church, you guys, the Pentecostal Assembly of God, and somebody definitely should have prepped me. Right? Because I was just a little Catholic girl who was used to going to Catholic masses, which, are very just kind of quiet. You know, the way there's quiet churches and then there's not so quiet churches. Well, Catholic churches are quiet churches. And I'm pretty sure Mormon churches are quiet churches. Quiet, buttoned up. But not the Pentecostal situation, not at all. I'm telling you guys, this is like one of those core childhood memories for me that I will never forget. I was with my best friend and her family, and they were very Pentecostal. And like it was fine for a while. And then some woman up at the front started jumping up and down and screaming and speaking in tongues. And then she started going and rolling on the floor. And I don't know, I got nervous. And when I get nervous, I get the giggles. It's just how it is. It's how it's always been. And then I got him. I got him hard, and they wouldn't stop. And then my giggles, and then the family I was with got so uncomfortable because I was laughing, and now everybody's looking at me laughing, that then they started laughing. They started laughing, and still to this day, I mean, I'm not kidding you guys. This is probably like 1984 to 85, 84 probably. And we still talk about it. Still to this day, it was so hilarious. And then I also went to a church camp with her, which was the same kind of thing. And I'll never forget there. And this church camp was away in the mountains. And then it was happening on a much bigger scale. And I was in the back of this church, and there was a whole slew of them going down and finding the Holy Spirit. And they were talking about auras. And at one point I was thinking I might have to escape in the night, because I thought that they were going to know that I was onto them, that I thought that they were crazy. And it's not that I think I a little bit did. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like I said, it was just all, it was all very new to me, but I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for all the religions. I'm here for all the religions, but I will omit the Church of Satan, unlike Lisa Barlow, who still makes a donation. I don't know what in God's name that was all about. We'll get there. Stand by. Anyway, so all the women arrive to church in their Sunday best, and they're all wondering if Meredith and Lisa are actually going to be showing up. And then just as the girls turn to walk into the church, because it's time, Heather sees the dynamic duo out of the corner of her eye approaching. Heather says, "Wow, we were just talking about you guys and wondering if you were actually going to show up." And Meredith says, "You were wondering if I'd be here? I've been one of Mary's biggest supporters for years." And Lisa says to Heather, "Do you mean you didn't know if I was coming? Like, did you think that you were the only one coming?" Then Bronwin looks down and sees that Meredith is wearing a boot and asks her why she's wearing it. And she says, "Because I have a sprained toe." And Heather says, "From kicking Britney?" And speaking of Britney, she wasn't here. She's missing church. Then we go inside, and Mary Cosby and her gold mite take the stage. Praise God. Mary gets up and says, "I'm a little rusty, but I thank God. I thank God. I thank God for being here today. I thank God for being saved. I thank God for my mind. I thank God for another day. And I thank God that God has kept me in my right mind, gave me love, gave me peace, gave me power. This is our place. This is our place." Then to Cameron, Mary says she feels that she came to this earth to be a messenger for God. And once again, I hear that, Mary. I hear that. She says, "I never planned what I'm going to say. Just comes out of me." She says, You know, I was thinking about my mom. She passed a couple months ago. Wasn't invited to her funeral, and that's okay. But I said, Lord, what about her soul? What about her soul? Did her soul make it? You have to do the right thing. You have to say the right thing. You have to act right. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter who you are. Because when you lay down and leave this earth, it's your soul that pays the price. It's your soul. And whatever you need today, I pray that God gives it to you. Whatever you need, my God will give it to you. You mark my words. This burden is not just yours, Bronwins. It's God's. And He's got you. He's got you, and He's going to give you peace. And sweet Bronwyn's in the audience tearing up. And then to camera she says, there's been a lot of worries in my life about my parents, about how Todd and I stay close together. And I think I just needed to hear Mary say that I'm going to be okay. Then Mary says, thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. Whatever you stand in need of, God will give it to you. You too, Mare. God chose you. He's going to give you love. He's going to give you love. And you too, Lisa. He's going to give you a sound mind. He's going to give her a sound mind. Then to camera, Lisa says, I think you can find joy in all religions, except the Church of Satan. But we give donations to them too. And then the producer goes, wait, what? And she says, yeah, we still make donations to them too. And then back on the pulpit, Mary tells Whitney that she's got what it needs. And then she walks off stage like a rock star screaming, whatever she needs, whatever you need, bless them. Bless them. Whatever you need, bless them. Bless them. Believe it and bless them. Bless them. Bless them. Bless them. And hallelujah, Mother Mary, bless them. Bless them. Bless them. Bless them. Bless Mary Cosby, that's for sure. All right, everybody, that about does it for this episode of Generally Speaking. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been watching on YouTube, please make sure you reach out and smash that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. If you've been listening on your favorite streaming platform, please make sure you give us a follow, leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a comment. We would love that. If you'd like to collaborate or have a question you'd like answered on the pod, you can reach me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. And if you'd like to reach me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking or on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. And if you'd like to get your hands on some of this adorable Generally Speaking merch and join our General Assembly, I will leave the link down below. All right, everybody, I have loved spending this time with you. Thank you so much for being here. And until we're together again, everybody, stay rooted in love. We'll see you next time.